What's up, guys? So today I was gonna mention something that in the previous video yesterday I wasn't. I should have said that, but So this is kind of like the addition to it. That so a while back I watched this show, The Vikings, on the History Channel. A lot of people watched it. They were very impressed. It was a lot of wars, a lot of battles, fighting, brutes, as we would call them, men that were, like a real man, muscles, fighting wars and, battling one another, and being very brutal, very, I would say, merciless, and also very skilled warriors, right? So when you watch that, it kind of pulls you in, and you have that primal instinct of like, oh, wow, I'm tough. Like, it's just by watching it, you feel like, wow, this passion, this, for battles, for, for sort of for war, And then whenever you mention to somebody, especially to people who are, sworn meat eaters, that you are plant-based, you're on a plant-based diet, that you are vegan, vegan is the trigger, that's the word that just like, wow, what? You're vegan? And then they go crazy. And, and then they start mocking you. They start, throwing all sorts of insults at you, then they start just, going, just completely spiraling out of control, So, the thing here is, you see, when you eat meat, okay, you eat basically imprisoned animals, you eat tortured creatures, pretty much. And then you eat all the adrenaline in the blood that goes into all the muscles and all the tissue, because before they get killed, they sense danger, they sense, threat to their life. So what do you think happens? The blood becomes full of adrenaline, the adrenaline gets pumped through all the veins into every little corner of that flesh, of their bodies. So you can imagine, that's not good for you. Obviously, that's terrible for you. On top of that, most people, I would say most people who eat meat, they buy meat in stores, in regular supermarkets, and just regular stores, for animals that are grown for mass production, right? For the mass food production, that is. So people say, whoa, you're weak, you're unhealthy, as a vegan, there's no way you can, live a normal, life and thrive, this is only on a meat diet, only in dairy, eggs, meat, that's it, that's the, that's the diet, that's number one diet. And, fruits, vegetables, okay, cool, yeah, you eat some of those, but, kind of like as a decoration to your meals. So, first of all, those people that buy that meat, that eat that meat, they eat so much crap in those animals that they pump those animals with, and also after they dismember their bodies, and what they put in those chunks and pieces of meat that you buy packaged in stores. All right, so listen to this, there comes a twist. Then you have a group of people who are like, well, but I buy only from local farmers, from small local farms where animals are out and about, grazing grass, being out in the fresh air and the sunlight, as if, wow, that is so much better. Oh my God, why haven't I thought of that? Oh my God, I've totally gone for that. I wouldn't. Not because it's not healthy, because it's just not something I approve. I don't approve of murder, because if, listen to this, this is a tricky thing. Now, let's say we go for the free animals, even let's say those in the wild, they just roam around, mind their own business. And here we are as hunters, somewhere, sticking inside the bush, looking out, like, oh, where is it? Oh, look at it, it's right there, it's right there. Okay. The animal has no freaking idea what hit it, nothing. It's just feeding themselves, eating stuff from the brush or from the bushes, the trees, and just enjoying the day, going around, observing the environment, you know. But here we are, we're the predators, in the bush, lurking around. Oh, you got it on target? Yeah. All right, buddy. Okay, pull the trigger. Boom, the animal falls. Drops dead. Or sometimes it just gets wounded enough to just drop on the floor, on the ground, and then maybe crawl for a few seconds and then miserably dies. And that's it. So imagine, this was a complete creature, able to multiply themselves, able of, feelings, certain emotions, basically all the emotions, right? Fear, anger, joy, happiness, all that stuff. They feel that, they feel that for their young, for their offspring. They feel that for each other, And sometimes they get into a little bit of scuffle, stuff, battles, like, I don't know, horned animals, they get in each other's, like, horns, get a bit rough, but nothing happens. They don't kill each other. It's not that serious. It's mainly the territorial stuff and for the females. Now, okay, so that was a complete creature. Just a second before it. Perfectly functional, as it's supposed to be in nature, just minding their, its own business. Suddenly, this creature is nothing but a corpse laying on the floor, lifeless. And now these lurkers that were moments before in a bush, looking out, like, staring, what's the right moment from the distance to hit it. They did it. And now they are these same creatures, these same humans, approach this lifeless body, this corpse, and drag it around, somewhere to the place where they're going to dismember it. So in just a matter of minutes, you have this perfect creature from a form of life, walking around, having their own, process of thinking and, brain activity, normal body. Now you have this lifeless body that they suddenly are dead, and now these people that killed it starting to slowly dismember the creature, cutting it open, pulling stuff, all the organs, certain inner stuff out, intestines, inner organs, separating things, basically taking it completely apart, shaving the skull, the skin off, the hide, completely undressing the creature, exposing all the blood, all the flesh, all the muscles, the ligaments, the bone structure, and disposing of the parts that they don't need. So imagine, only a few minutes sometimes passes, and that creature goes from this form into a complete disgusting, like, doesn't look good, doesn't look as beautiful anymore. It's all taken apart, it bleeds, it starts deteriorating, it starts just decomposing, and that's it. Okay, now, those of you who say, oh, but that's normal, that's how we always did it. Think about what we do to people that do the same thing to people. There are guys who are obsessed with women to the point where they lurk around their apartments or their houses and they kidnap them, right? And then they kill them. And then they dismember them, in order to hide the evidence. Some of them even eat some of the parts, some of the parts of their bodies. Not only women, women also kill men, and then men kill men. All sorts of predatory behavior. How do we call those people? Our science, our psychology, science of psychology, they invite to the jail, all the psychiatrists, psychologists to, evaluate that person once they capture them, if they do, of course. If they're successful enough to capture these killers, they give them first of all, usually they don't kill only one, and we also don't kill only one animal. We keep going and keep going and keep going. What's the name? It's the serial killer, serial murderer, right? So that murderer becomes a serial killer. Serial killers in our society are marked as psychopaths, psychotic, depraved. So, are you getting the picture already? So when you do that to a creature that looks completely normal, that it's completely functional in nature, you are a psychopath. You are psychotic. You are a sociopath. Oh, that's how they also call them, of course. You're a sociopath. You have no emotions. You cannot relate to the pain. You cannot relate to somebody dying. And you cause that harm upon them because of your own lack of being able to relate to another creature. So when you start looking at this objectively, as I just explained, then you start getting a very, very different picture why this is never okay for people, humans. This was never meant to be our role in life. Never. So with that, we are depraving ourselves. We are, we have turned into psychopaths, sociopaths, psychotic people, psychotic race, species that go around and violate other creatures' lives in that depraved, disgusting way. So, if that is okay with you, if you think that, that is all good and normal, then that's your sanity is truly questionable. Really questionable, because that is not okay. And not okay by my standards, but the standards we set, you see, us. Yet we violate them all the time, pretending that it's different, because we get to do it. If somebody else does it, in a different context, then we have all sorts of names for them, all sorts of labels for them, and we imprison them. In some countries they even torture them, and in some states of the United States and some other countries they execute them for those deeds, for those crimes, because those are called crimes against humanity, right? But when you are a killer, when you're a serial killer killing animals, you are committing crimes against humanity. You know which humanity? Your own. You're committing crimes against yourself, against your own true nature. Yep, that's a crime, it's a sin. So unless you understand these things, there is no hope and nothing good for you coming. You have to understand that once and for all, the tables will turn. And I don't mean by animals killing you, but by you experiencing what you are causing. The pain, the suffering, the horror, terror, the dread. That's what you're causing to life. And life is giving you that back. And life usually doesn't, it's not like, it has a special select group of people or, forms of punishment. No, it happens whoever is available and has the means to execute it. It doesn't matter. Sometimes that's a storm that befalls, a certain country, a certain region, territory. Sometimes that's a bear in the wild that mauls somebody to death or harms them really badly. Sometimes there's a cop that seems that they unjustly killed somebody or imprisoned somebody for no reason. Sometimes that's your neighbor that punches you in the face. I don't know. Sometimes that's a mugger on the street that mugs you and beats you up. This boomerang of what you are doing to life comes back to you in a variety of ways. So when bad things are happening to people, always remember, people are not innocent. They're not innocent, and they're not as kind as they pretend to be. The majority is not. So when something bad happens to them and everybody questions, oh, we gotta go fight, for justice for these people. If that was really injustice, things will come into place. But most of the time that would not even be allowed for them to happen to them. you know, if they did not deserve it in some way. That's the truth, that's the reality of life that most people are not willing to accept, but that's exactly how things work. For those of you also who say, I buy meat from local farmers, I buy meat from the animals that graze the grass and are out in the sunlight and they have nice lives and, blah, 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 on and on and on. Remember something. This cattle comes from somewhere, okay? Now, we wouldn't have as much cattle in this world as we do so far, right now, if it was by nature. We wouldn't. So if you think that your cattle is so pure, and then the meat that you eat is so not polluted by all sorts of, growth hormones and all sorts of stuff, you are deceiving yourself. How do you think they get all this? A cow is just like your mother. It has to have sexual encounter with a male, or it has to be artificially inseminated, which is mostly the case on the farms. Then it gives birth to a little cow or a little bull. You follow? By having a mass food production, by having raised so many cattle and so many pigs and so many chickens, you think that's all natural? Just because it's from a local farm? Yeah, you're dead wrong, and you don't even know it. You're not even aware of it. You have no idea because you don't use your brain, because you don't really think. And then when you watch, the TV and it shows you, let's say, for an example, shows like the Vikings, you feel very proud about how we used to live, right? We used to always live like that. We were, brutes. Then you go into the gym and you pump your muscles to be really big. Not to be strong, to be big, intimidating looking, right? For the looks. Because the size matters, right? Because, when you watch these shows, these guys are not tiny. They're big, muscular guys, merciless. They're like fighters, So you watch UFC and you watch all these MMA fights and you're like, wow, this is the real man, fuck vegans, This is real man, not those feminist vegans, like with a lack of testosterone, like as if I had any lack of testosterone, like as if I cannot get aggressive just because I'm on a plant-based diet. Means like I'm completely tamed and I don't never get angry, I don't never get upset, I don't ever wish to do something to somebody when they upset me. Guys, this is like a real life comedy when I listen to you guys, like when you talk like that. It's extremely stupid. It's so insane. All I can say is when you're on a plant-based diet, this one thing is true. It calms you down. It takes that beast that you have inside that wants to devour everything and destroy everything and just munch on blood and muscle and tear flesh off bones. It takes that away. So you actually finally become a reasonable person. Somebody that actually can think, because our bodies are not burdened with processing all these heavy, really destructive foods. They're not burdened by that. We actually have energy and time to think. And I, by being on this diet, I turned much calmer than I used to be. Things used to upset me very, very badly all the time for no freaking reason. Absolutely no reason now when I look back. Like, sometimes it's not worth to get upset over everything. So, I'm way calmer. I'm way more rational. I actually think before I do things. And, my temper is a little bit less severe. Okay? And I have bad temper, really bad temper. So, definitely beneficial in many ways. Those of you who say that vegans are aggressive, think about it twice. All we are trying to tell you is that you are doing disservice to yourself and that you are hurting creatures that want no harm, mean no harm to you whatsoever. They're innocent. And if you're such a man, if you're such a brute, be there to protect them. Because you like to be, like to feel good about yourself when there's an old lady crossing the street with, grocery bags, or when you're in the store trying to, lift grocery bags, you quickly step, most of you guys who are like that, quickly step there and it's like, oh, ma'am, let me help you, and you feel so good about it, right? On another hand, you let other people for you, or you yourself by your own hand, terrorize innocent creatures that are terrified of you, that are actually all they want from you is just nurturing and your love and your care. Yet you go and you stick a knife into their throats. You hurt them the most that anybody could ever hurt them, and you think that's okay, and you feel manly about it, and most of the time it's even you not doing that, it's you paying somebody else to do that, so somebody else can have that trauma within them of being that serial killer, because somebody has to live with that. Somebody has to live with that on their conscience. That's not an easy thing. Looking these creatures in their eyes, it's very clear that they are like us, very much like us. And you having to kill them, you having to dismember their bodies, that doesn't just go away. That stays within you, and it dirties your soul. It pollutes your soul with this sin, with this violence, with this aggression, with this transgression against and over their lives. And so that's far from normal. That's far from something you should be proud of. So those of you who are also mocking us and making jokes on the account of that, that's worse than anything else. That's like me killing your mother and then sending you letters how funny that was, that she was suffering, and how much fun I had doing it. Guys, we are coming to times when you're going to experience a lot of really bad times, really harsh times. And I would say that most humans will not make it. They will not survive this. And those of you who have a lot of muscle and fighting skills and stuff, trust me, you are not gonna overcome that, because that will have nothing to do with your physical muscle, nothing to do with your you're being a brute and you're being a skilled fighter or anything like that. Nothing. You are not equipped for what's coming. You are not equipped for what's coming, because that requires a very, very high level of humanity in order for you to be able to overcome the challenge that's coming. The army that is on earth is not a very physical army, yet for that same reason it's extremely powerful, and it will crush all your armies to dust. You have no idea. Absolutely no idea what's coming, really. And it's no point, no comment. Just keep going, have fun if you think that's fun. Feel manly about it if you think you're a real man because you live like that. That's okay. Time will show you, and life will teach you.